I got to look attractive because you have to suck your pride in. Just like how I took that low-paying Cowboys job, like I was struggling. I mean, my lights was cut off. I was straightening my hair in the Cowboys bathroom early in the morning, just doing my makeup in the dark, right? You have to put your pride aside for the bigger mission.
Welcome back to the Tech Jobber podcast, and super excited about today's guest. I've been trying to get her on for a few months. Finally, she's in Miami. We have Theresa Mubenga. She is super viral on TikTok. She's publicly building 2 tech companies as their CEO. And it's really interesting because as she kind of goes through the process, you kind of get some day in the life work. And then as she does interviews and kind of interesting things comes up, she does content on it. And it's super helpful for anyone that enjoys this type of tech content, interview content. Super interesting. So Theresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
This was like in the works for like a year.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah. And I was just like, eventually you're going to come through and then hopefully we'll get you in here. So she braved the hurricane to come in.
Braved the hurricane of all times, right?
Yes.
Came through when it was supposed to be category 5. Here I am.
Yeah. We didn't know this would happen, but yeah. So real quick before we go into your background, let's talk about the content a little bit. Like I said, I mean, a little day in the life, a little, hey, this came up, this is interesting. Hey, don't do this, or this was really good, someone did.
Yeah.
What kind of got you started in that?
My content has morphed over time. I started back I've always been a content creator, I will say that. On TikTok, I started in 2020. And I tried a bunch of different directions, but I realized what's true to me is kind of the promotion of tech, right? So I just started with educating people in tech. Like, hey, did you know that you can do this role without having, to go be perfect at math? Or did you know that this is a possibility of a role? You don't have to code or anything like that. So it was really direct instructional videos at first, but then over time, I'm a natural creative person. I'm like, sometimes a lot of people care about the lifestyle more than they care about, the words or the context. So you have to show them the life. They have to believe it. And that's when I started to incorporate lifestyle, because my lifestyle is pretty, sometimes you see me on yachts sure. I'm here in New York, Miami, everywhere. And that's what people gravitate to a lot more, because they're like, okay, I see how you're living. I believe it, and I want to live like that. So then it starts to morph into like, okay, now while I'm in a corporate role, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, and you can achieve that too. It's attainable, and I'm telling you how. I'm not just showing you, I'm telling you how. So after the corporate content of development, I left corporate. And I was building a business all along in the background, and that's when I started to take everyone on the journey of my CEO content, building the businesses, and that's the day in the life now, and how's that working? And so it's morphed over time, and it's still morphing, but yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you like? What type of content do you like to do the most, and it might be the same answer, but what seems to hit with people?
That's a great question. See how it's so difficult for me to answer, because naturally I want to be a private person, because I don't like to flaunt a lot of times. It's very difficult for me because scenarios and situations in the world, like, I'm very conscious of, right? And I'm just not a naturally flaunty person, because you can have it and lose it. But I understand that that's how a lot of people connect, right? So I would say what content hits is a lot of show me what you got rather than tell me how you got there, right? Okay. And then tell me how you got there after. So more or less the content that hits it are the lifestyle contents, when I'm traveling, when I'm doing these things, when I'm embracing my team, and they see the building of the culture. The content I would love to just do is just talk, just be here and, not have to show that side of me, not have to show my family, not have to show, what I'm doing all the time, because that also opens up another door of people diving too deep, right?
Sure.
Of where does she live? What does she do? Like, where is she going? Like, I know people have showed up at 2 of my offices already, right? Like,
just from the
because
TikTok?
from TikTok or from social media, because if I put a job posting, they're like, okay, well, the best bet is for me to show up. Yeah. And there's a line drawn, because I have a baby, like little baby, and I also have a son, but like I have a baby that's usually with me all the time, so it's scary. So the content of being so open is the best content of showing your life, both sides of it. It's not the content that I like necessarily, but I understand to feed the people, you have to give them both.
Yeah, and I think, people probably get some bad advice, like just show up at the door.
Yeah,
and it's like
because I'm so welcoming on camera, right? I'm naturally welcoming. I'm like, hey, like I am just a nice person, but in real life, I'm not. Like, I'm very reserved. I'm very like to myself. I'm very like, I'm from New York, so we kind of look before we approach, before we talk,
Right.
So I'm very off. I'm like, no, this is not cool. Don't do this again. It's not cool. So.
Yeah. Well, let's get into how you decided to get into tech. Let's go back to that journey.
Yeah. Wow. This is way, way back. My dad used to travel and fix computers. That was his role. So I was always a loner, very lonely person. There's not like a boohoo sad story, but it's true. Like, I wasn't like the young girl who embodied having a lot of friends and enjoying being out and going to parties and all this stuff. I liked, and I always saw myself as a career woman, right? And I was always so focused. So at first, my journey was actually law school. When I went into college, I was like determined to be a lawyer. Like, even to this day, like I still have that idea to just go and do it and finish it. But while I was young, the younger journey, I would follow along with my dad on these like missions that he would do, and I would learn so much, right? And I found that is so interesting to me. When I was in college, I kept gravitating to the idea of, but I like technology, like law is cool, but I like technology. I like doing it. I like exploring it. I still kept my major of being, poli-sci, criminal justice, but I was like, okay, let me just get an internship. So mind you, I was not in the path of a comp-sci major or anything like that, the typical person that kind of have the traditional route. I was poli-sci, but then I changed to communications a little bit later on. And then I went, and I was like, okay, my junior year, I was like, I just need to get an internship. I need to see if I like this or not. So when I do things, I go big or go hard. So like go home or nothing. So I applied for the Cowboys, no other job, no other internship, just that one. I was like, my college was in San Angelo, Texas, and the Cowboys is in Arlington, which is like 3 hours away. But I had a American Airlines job, so I used my flying benefits to go to the interview.
Yeah.
So I told them, I was like, hey, on paper, I'm not your typical, I'm competing against people who are in Yale, comp sci, all that stuff, but I'm not leaving here without a job, and I guarantee you're gonna hire me because I'll be what you want me to be. And I sat in the CIO's office, and ever since then, he's just fell in love with who I was and believed in what I could do. So my trajectory after that was like, have you heard about Theresa? Have you heard about Theresa? And they kind of just brought me around in the sports industry, and it's just kind of taken off from there. So yeah, that's how my journey.
What type of stuff does the tech department of like a NFL team have an intern doing?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, because a lot of people don't even think about the capacity of that. They just think about Google and like Amazon and all that stuff. But the largest partners that these people have, Google, Amazon, is these sports teams.
In what way?
Like hosting, cloud hosting, their servers, their recovery centers, right? Like that is a big deal. But these are multi-million-dollar deals, right? So with the sports teams, you're managing, I'll say NFL, because a lot of people don't understand baseball, like technology, as much as they would understand football technology. So football technology, you're managing down to like the scouts, right? Scouts and their like equipment, their phones, how they navigate and all that stuff. You're managing all the stadium technology. I mean, can you imagine what that encompasses? That you have to power, internet and fast internet for like
100,000?
80,000 people, right? And the Cowboys, they are the biggest of it all. It's a show every time. And it's not just NFL games. You're doing Drake shows. We did Beyonce when I was there, the Run the World tour. We did so many things, and all that runs on technology. Like all that is technology. The screens, right? Every little bit of that encompasses technology. And it's just so far in depth, like even down to like, even in the suites, the technology that they have is so high level, like it's an experience, right? Now they're bringing virtual reality into these stadiums and making you feel like you're there, down to the apps that people use, right? These NFL apps, that's all ran by, tickets, getting in, all that stuff, all that is technology. So, so with me, and as an intern, I started out just everywhere. I touched everything. Like they hired me for one thing, like help desk, which was my entry. I always encourage people to go there because I think it's a great learning measure. But I was like, I'm not just touching this. I want to see everything. Give me everything. So I rotated around, and was
that paid?
Yeah, it was paid.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was low. I was struggling. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. So I had the American Airlines job. So I had that, and I would fly back to because I was still in school. Oh my God. So when the days I didn't work Cowboys, I would fly back to my school, my small school, and I would work that shift that same day. So I'll get off the flight and work the flight that I was just on. Wow. Until I was fired because my boss was hating on me. Yeah. He was hating on me. He didn't like the fact that I was doing it. So I had to make that decision, and I chose, this is the path I need to go, and I'm gonna go Cowboys. So my senior year, I was out.
Wow. So, I mean, what happens there? So you're an intern. Yeah. Do they hire you?
Right. So I was an intern for about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more than a year and a half. I was close to approaching 2 years. And the thing about the sports world, it's slow progression because there's not a lot of open roles. Yeah. The technology teams are far smaller in the club organizations, meaning the actual teams, Cowboys, Astros, Mavericks, anything. The teams are very small, maybe 50 or so, whereas in comparison, the big tech companies, there's like thousands, tons. Right? So there's not really open headcount easily. And these people stay there for years because you're living good. Yeah. Working at the Cowboys, you get tickets, free tickets. It's a great lifestyle. You're running into some of your favorite stars. So I was an intern for 2 years in hopes that a role will open up, just any role. And it, unfortunately, it was coming up, but it wasn't close enough for me. And again, I wasn't getting paid a lot as an intern. So my CIO, who really saw a lot in me, he's very well connected in the sports industry. So he knows when other teams or other people are hiring. So he's like, hey, I have this girl that you're gonna love her, right? So my next move was the Houston Astros. Wow. And that was when the Houston Astros was like not the desirable team. Like, they were the don't sell the stands, kind of like there are no tickets, no people in the stands. Like you could count how many people. And I'm like, what is Houston Astros? What is baseball? So I'm like, whatever though, I'm gonna take the opportunity. And I went, and it was a great move for me because I grew so fast there. Again, that was a role that maximized my growth because you take on so much. Yeah. You see everything. I was hired into as a help desk coordinator, but I left I managed a team. I became like a project manager there, like so many things. I touched sysadmin, network admin, because you work the game sometimes as your shift. Okay. And you're like the only one, you're like maybe 2 of you are assigned to rotate in your team of like 10 to 20, depends on which team, 10, but 2 is assigned to work the game, each game. And the Wi-Fi went down. And I'm not a person who's a network admin, right? So you're on the phone with a network admin. They're like, okay, head to the closet over here. It's C20 over here. And you're trying to figure out, which closet it is. You have to go through the racks and figure out which cord to pull. So you're learning all of this. You're just, it's a beautiful disaster. It's such a beautiful, but I'm so glad for the experience. I'm so happy.
Yeah, so a bunch of questions on working in sports because the hours, because is it 9 to 5 and then there's a game on top? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, so if there's a home game, you're working 9 to 5, and then Astros starts 7 o'clock. So so Tuesday night,
You're
working 9 to 5, then you're working 7 to 10.
You're full time. There's no overtime pay, no nothing. You're working full time and you're working the games too. You don't get like really days off, like how you say, okay, if I worked a game and let's say the Astros went crazy innings, like, they went exceeded innings.
Sure.
You may be able to like come in not at your typical time of like 8, but you could come in maybe at 10 or so, being lenient, but you're there the next day to work again.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a small team, it's very lean, so you got to make it do.
Yeah. So, I mean, you touched on the compensation. Now I know they get free tickets, right?
Yeah.
So one thing like you said, the teams are very small.
Yeah.
And my staffing, I've never dealt with any of the professional sports teams when I was in Philly or down here, but there's kind of like a reputation of they underpay a little bit because the supply of candidates is very high, and there's only so many spots. So do they underpay and then just dangle the free tickets and like, oh, we'll give you locker room access a little bit? Like, what did you feel?
Yeah, exactly that. The benefits is the most attractive part. You got to do it to love. Like, if somebody truly loves sports, they wouldn't see it as a problem.
Right.
They would make it work. Because the benefits are great. Like, I mean, when I saw a Super Bowl, I saw a World Series. I got a World Series ring, World Championship ring.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I have
we have to touch on that. So Astros win the World Series.
I have it. Yeah.
You have
a
World Series ring.
Yeah, I have a World Series ring. Yeah. My husband likes to call it the trash can ring, but hell, I have the ring. And it's valued very high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do those run? I mean, not that you're going to sell it.
No, they talk to us about not selling them. So
yeah.
I don't know. I never got. I kind of know. People talked about it getting appraised, so it's a little. But now they're a valuable team. When I had it, they were there. They won the first World Series in a long time, but now they're a winning team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Holding on to that baby is worth a whole lot. That's their first World Series championship in a while.
And the thing is,
controversial.
Like, can you even? Is it even like wearable? Like, these things are so big.
It's like it's like
diamond
this big on my hand, and it has my name engraved on it in diamonds. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. So it
looks just like the players.
That's the whole organization gets
front office.
The front office. So
and
you were
team.
Management. So you
because the sports industry encompasses a lot of different roles, right?
Yeah.
So you have the people who work within the stadiums. So like usually concessions and all that stuff, the day of game staff. So they don't get World Series rings, but they get like, I'm not really sure what exactly they get, but they get something, but it's not as valuable, right?
Right.
But front office, meaning like baseball operations, football operations, the tech teams, like the people who sit in the offices, right, and make those decisions on call, they all get front. That's it's a lot of people. Yeah.
Wow.
And we even have a ring day ceremony when we have to go out on the on
the field
and collect the rings, and we shake the hand.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're into sports, it's like,
I'm
making less money, but it's.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you're on a winning team, like if you're on a team, like I can imagine like Lakers, Golden State, like those people, like if you were paid low, you were probably like, well, you could kind of use your benefits of giving your tickets away to this is another, if you're smart enough, right? You have a business on the side. You can leverage that as like trading options. Like, let me bring this person I want to do business with to the game. Yeah. This ticket normally would cost like a Super Bowl ticket or thousands and thousands of dollars at the seats we're at. We're like lower level, right? We have access to the suites, and all this stuff. So like, you got to think smart in life situations. Sure. Not just what you're presented. Yeah, and it's 2 lower level seats every game. 2 lower level, and then for each, it changes depending on how high or how far they go within the series. So you could get like 4 for the World Series. Oh wow. I can't remember exactly. It's been so long, but they do. Each team are different because they have different owners, they care. So I can't speak for all teams.
Yeah.
But there's different things.
Yeah. And were the Astros similar to, I know Jerry Jones owns that stadium. So when Beyonce comes in, that's part of your CIO was running that production, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which means you were running that. So was that the same with the Astros or?
So no, the way Jerry operates is far different than a lot of owners.
Okay.
Jerry is Jerry's world. Jerry runs everything. He has his hands in the merchandising, down to the towels that are imported on the Cowboys, like stadium floor. Like, I mean, he touches everything. His business is everything. There's a bit of separation with a lot of owners in other clubs where the owners own the team, but they don't necessarily own the stadium, and they don't make decisions about what the stadium looks like. There's a lot of checks and balances there. So at the Astros, the ownership is great. Oh my God, Crane, amazing owner. I mean, you want a technology savvy owner. You want somebody who's forward thinking, you know? So yeah, far different. Like Jerry is all about the entertainment, the show, making it lively. How can I bring the woo-ha to this sport? Rather, you know, and it does, you know, Cowboys is 8-8 all the time. They're legendary for that, you know. I was a Giants fan when they hired me, but you know, they pay my bills, so you know what it is.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
He's all about the show, and a lot of the other owners are about the business. So they have a different structure. Like, it's a far different structure how they work. Yeah. Like separation wise of how they run the stadium, partnerships and all that stuff.
And you mentioned you were starting your own thing at the same time.
Yeah, since I've been in corporate, starting in my internship, I was already building. Wow. I had like a business called Brooklyn & Tea. It was like a little graphic designing business that I was trying to. It was a graphic designing business where, you know, I was getting paid low as an intern, so I had to supplement, you know, somehow. So I started, you know, Brooklyn & Tea. And Brooklyn, because I'm from New York, not from Brooklyn necessarily, but and T for Theresa. But I would start graphic design, I would design logos for people, websites for people, and that was just like basic like websites. I wasn't even doing crazy things. Then I got into development, and I started to like, I could do a lot more. Like, so on the side, I wasn't a software developer, I wasn't a software engineer, but I was learning it just for my own keeps. And at some point I upgraded to developing my own app, Blackprint, and then I started to learn Swift, which is the iPhone, you know, coding language. So,
how did you gain those initial skills? Was it
self-taught?
Self-taught.
YouTube, when you're determined.
Udemy, or I mean, like, what were you doing?
Yeah, you know, there was a series of different platforms. Like, I used a gamified wars, like the app, like to learn how to, because I like to gamify how I learn those things. It's very difficult. YouTube was a helping hand. I also had friends that would help me, you know, that would give me projects while I was kind of like learning on the, because it's different to learn, right? But it's so much, when you have to put it in play, it's far more different. Like, it's very different. Yeah. So I had friends who were great software developers and all that stuff that would just give me projects, give me advice, work with me. You know, I really attribute a lot of my side work to a lot of the people I was around, for a fact. Yeah, and then you mentioned at some point you went to work directly for Major League Baseball as a project manager? Yeah. So, but it's crazy. I was hired as a project manager, but you end up being so much more. Yeah. So how did that come about? Was it the Astros referred you, or just you had the internal baseball thing going? Yeah, you know, it's an interesting thing because club to league is different. Yeah. And league can't poach club people. It's like a rule. You can't go and be like, I'll take this person no matter what. It doesn't work like that. The clubs are they have their owners, their ownerships and all that stuff. The league is like a law firm. Right. It's like technically a non-profit. Yeah. Right? Like all the sports, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. It's like it's the NFL, 100%. MLB is like a non-profit. Yeah, 100%. So they avoid all taxes. Yeah, 100%. And the owners, like, it's a lot. It's very deep, complex structure. Very deep, very deep structure. Exactly. Yeah. So how that came about was, I told you I was taking on a lot of roles at the Astros. And when you're in the sports world and you kind of it's a small world, meaning people know people, people talk. And I had the opportunity to shine. You know, I'm just a hard worker. I knew what I wanted from the get-go. So a lot of people noticed. So I was already being invited into rooms and spaces, you know, like I would say this, in the sports world, title doesn't matter because you can be brought into something, but you are in different rooms, right? And what happened is I was doing a lot of work, like different type of work at the Astros. And one of my coworkers at the Astros actually was like, hey, Theresa, like I'm on this like league list of like open positions, and I see this open position that I think you should apply for. You'd be the perfect fit. And it was a project management role, junior project management role. I've always told myself I would never go back to New York because I'm from New York unless I'm making money, right? Unless, because you have to pay me now. You have to pay me now because there's no way I'm gonna live like horribly, because it's different at the league, club level to league level. League, you're gonna make money because when you think about Amazon, and the league has thousands of tech people, not 20, 50. Yes, that's what you're looking at, right? So they had an open position, and at that time, the CIO there had just got hired in at the league, MLB, and he was looking to fill some roles. So I applied for the junior project management role, and by the time then I was doing project management role around the Astros. And I mean, when you do it heavy because you're the only one, you're single out. And I was so confident that I was gonna get it because I just have like this natural confidence of I was gonna do it. So I talked to him a bit, and we got off the phone, did the interview. I felt great about it, and I started telling people, okay, I'm moving back to New York. This was during the World Series time, by the way. So we were in the middle of the World Series, the
2017?
2017. We're in the middle of it. So it was also kind of, no, sorry. It was the year before the World Series. So it was, we weren't at the World Series, so it was 2016. And so I was ready to leave. It was nothing for me anymore. I've done all that I can there. So I was, like I said, I was telling everybody I'm gonna come back to New York. I started looking for places. Two weeks later, he called me. He was like, Theresa, I just want to tell you, I loved interviewing you, but we decided to go with another candidate. And my heart just dropped. That was the first rejection I got from the sports world. Because otherwise, and then I was getting offers, but I just wasn't, it wasn't enough to bring me to that place, right? People were wondering, like, hey, you want to come here? You want to come here? But the league is different. Again, that's a level up. You're going to a different direction, and that's what I needed. I needed a big change. So I was heartbroken. I already told people. I started looking for places. I was looking at something, I was like, okay. And I was heartbroken. But on that phone call, this is the thing that changed the perspective of my life. That changed the course of my life. Period. Instead of really getting upset and just accepting it, I took it and I spun it for myself because I really wanted to understand why. You know, I felt like I fit there. I loved the CIO that I was interviewing. He sounded like he really cared and wanted to develop a team, and having good managers is a rarity. It's such a rarity. So I really felt like we were on the same page. So I sucked it up. I didn't cry. I wasn't mad. I was on the phone with him. I said, hey, thank you for interviewing me and taking the time. What are some things that could have me prepared for a role like this next time it comes around? And it took him back because he's never had someone usually they say, okay, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Where could I have been better? Where could I have been better? What could I do differently? It's always like, maybe you made the mistake, right? But I've accepted that I wasn't good enough at the time. And I said, okay, what will make me good enough? What is it that I can do to make myself better? And we sat on the phone for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. I can't even remember. I was in the stairwell up at the Astros, just tears was running down my eyes, but I was sitting there like, okay, writing it down. This is what I need to do. That whole year I worked my butt off, not wanting to go to MLB anymore, just for the betterment of myself. I was like, I'm gonna be this person.
You went through his checklist.
I went through the checklist. Okay. I even maximized it. I did more than what was supposed to do. Like I did more than what he was asking. So in the background, the whole time, two things was happening. the Astros was becoming a team to beat, right? So then then there's this thing now where I'm like, do I want to leave? Right? I'm about to get a ring. Like, this is a good chance. I've been here when we couldn't sell tickets. Why would I want to leave, right? And then the second thing was, he was watching me the whole time. I would see him, I would show up at these conferences, I would learn, I would talk to people, I would work the room, and he would see me. He would not say anything to me. He would just say, hey, Theresa, but never said anything. One day he called me up 2 weeks before the actual final World Series game. And he said, do you want to come to New York? And it wasn't just a junior project management role. It was like the project manager under him. Wow. So it was a better role than what I would have initially got. And and at that time I told him, I could get a ring, so I'm gonna put you on hold. Yeah. I was a well-developed person by then. I was very, very attractive to a lot of people. I was on the market. Now people are seeing like, oh, wait, hold on. She's
making moves.
In a year, she made a lot of moves. There was a lot of things going. Like I started to build a full social media profile, started branding myself. There was a lot going on for me. Like I built myself up in that year. And then I was like, you know what? If money talks, if you talk money, I will come. Wow. Bring me to, because now I'm working directly under the CIO for the league. And that is, with a team full of 1,000 people, like 1,000, this is an opportunity you can't turn down, right? Yeah. So I got my ring. I said, I'm staying until I get the ring. That's something I'm going to negotiate.
I think you would understand that.
Yes,
right?
You're going to pay for me to move. You're going to pay for me to move. And then, I required this in like, salary at least. I need to make a minimum because I had a child by that time. I had a kid, a young baby, my son. So it worked out. I went to MLB and I didn't let up. I kept going. And then, it was just a whole different ballgame from there.
When you give us, obviously some stuff you might not be able to get into, but what are some maybe interesting projects you would work on at an MLB that you're like, oh, this was cool, we upgraded this, or?
Wow, I touched so many things. I did part of the Google Cloud migration when Google Cloud came through and MLB announced their large partnership, multi-million-dollar project, running the migration for that, meaning getting us off on-prem and getting us into the cloud, which is a huge thing because remember, MLB owns MLB at Bat. At some point, MLB had Disney streaming. Yeah. I mean, partnership with Disney streaming. Like it's more. It encompasses a lot more. Technology
all
there.
All that stuff over.
Technology, yeah. But remember, it's a big team. But you're a part of being a part of that, right? Like, when I spent 4 years with MLB, then at the end I was the main project manager for the MLB All-Star Game. So I ran the All-Star Game. I ran the MLB Tech Summit. So all the technology that goes in the All-Star Game, I was that project manager for, right? And that's a lot. Yeah. You have to figure out the infrastructure for the clubs, like the facilities, because some of them haven't seen a World Series in a long time or All-Star in a long time. So you have to figure out, do I have to upgrade it? Do they have the budget? Do we have the budget to supplement that if they don't have it? Do you get what I'm saying? So MLB touches so many things that a lot of people don't know. Even partnerships, like I said, that a lot of things that a lot of people think Google are the big tech companies, Netflix. Who do you think are working with these people? And MLB was so forward thinking in a lot of things. They're like the fastest in the league as far as like technology wise, like the first to develop something. Like they were on to like certain things before it was heavily influenced by other markets and other influence. Like they're just way ahead of time.
Like streaming, they were, I think, way ahead.
They're way ahead. Their technology development and the people they have there, I will give all credit that they hire very intelligent people, very, very intelligent people. And that sit at certain levels and you understand why they're so developed.
Yeah. Okay, so 4 years at MLB, doing really just expanding your portfolio of kind of tech knowledge. I mean, where does that take us?
This is the battle of life now, because at that same time, I was building my brand on the side, meaning I was building a social profile. So that TikTok that we were talking about back then, that's now at 150,000 of a community of people. They're seeing my journey. They're seeing me move. They're seeing, a lot of people have been with me from the start, right? They're seeing me move. They're seeing it. So they're seeing all this progression and its changes and all this stuff. And then finally, like I'm at a place where I could talk the talk, whereas more or less I'm giving more information than I'm showing you my life. Do you get what I'm saying? Because now I know so much more. Like, what, 10 years down the line, it's like, yeah, I know way more.
Yeah.
So then after that, it became kind of a war between what I wanted in life. I've achieved all that I wanted at the league now. I was at that same spot. I was at the Astros 4 years. I felt like I ran so many different parts of projects, saw big, large budgets. I met a lot of smart people, but what's next? Like, you know, I just didn't see myself for a long time, I didn't see myself ending in corporate, just not me.
Yeah.
I'm way bigger than that. Like, and I'm not saying it's not, everybody has a role, right? But it just held me back. You know, it held me back. It wasn't, it was gonna cause some type of bumped head at some point, because if my personality becomes bigger than the business, then it's gonna cause, because what do you care about more, right?
Right.
Which one are you gonna give more energy to? And at some point I was like, so at 8 months pregnant, I decided I'm at a space where I could take the risk with my brand, and I left MLB.
Yeah.
So no health insurance.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah.
About to give birth to my second child, you know, still in New York, moving. Oh, it's just crazy. But this is the life there's a risk you have to take. When you have an opportunity like that, like it was at the brink of return to office, you know, things. So it's like, what am I going to do, Theresa? Like, what are you going to do? What is this that's going to happen for you? This is the time now. If you're going to make that decision, otherwise you'll be sucked in another couple years, right? And who knows? Yeah, I'll go around to other teams. Like I have desirable teams that I would work for now. Like I'm picky, more selective.
You'd come in at like a CIO, VP level,
I would come in at a director level. CIO is still very high at those levels. Like those people are stuck there. Like they're there for years, right? But director VP, I'll be way more than a director at that point. Sorry, I'm not even thinking, I'll probably come in at a SVP or something like that, But I'm very picky and selective of who I would work for now, what teams I would specifically work for. So, I left and I built my brand.
So your brand was already monetizing at that point?
Yeah. It wasn't even my brand. It wasn't even my TikTok. I wasn't even making money off my TikTok. It was more or less, I had built my technology consulting firm. So I was working with athletes at that time, like not in baseball. What? Like I would help develop their projects, like technology projects, like if you want, because a lot of them have off-season projects where they want to either invest in a few things, you know, they don't really know technology, but they see the boom in technology, right? What AI product should I develop or what? So I'm the one who's helping them build the apps, build the websites. I've also consulted, like I work with the MBPA a lot to consult with some of the players in, what they want to do in like technology, like, do you want to stream? Do you want to, I give them that advice. Like I became kind of like a spokesperson or a speaker of tech. Do you get what I'm saying? So whatever capacity, I would perform that, right? Okay. So my consulting firm was not limited. So I had that building, and that was money on its own, right? Yeah. No money from social media. I mean, I had people reach out to me, deals like T-Mobile and stuff I get here and there, but it was nothing where I'm like, you would live off of that with a new baby, 2 children, moving.
Small little.
No, the money was from like, you consulting firm, working with athletes. And again, I would say this, I've been in the athletic world so long, a lot of people say, how do you get started with that? It's just connections. Yeah. And my husband is a sports manager too, so it's another bridge of connections. He worked with, entertainers, your favorite entertainers and all that stuff. So it's just, you're in that world.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I know like in the NBA, like obviously the money is so big now. A lot of these guys are like, okay, I have to like, they're investing in like Kevin Durant's doing a lot of that stuff.
Oh, he's ahead. And you know what's so crazy? So the NBPA obviously is the Players Association to the NBA. And one person I wanted to put my hands and touch on their projects is Kevin Durant. I'm telling you, one day you guys will see me do it. Because I know people who knows his people. Yeah. And all I had to do was there was some, I don't want to speak because, I don't know, it's too early, but I had to do something for them. But I was too busy at the time. I was working on another project. And I know it's going to come back around, but don't worry. Kevin Durant is one of those people that's top of my list.
To what? Maybe invest in your company?
No,
or just work with his investments?
I see where he's going. I see where he's going. There's a direction. I see where he's going, but I don't think he has the right technology people behind him. Okay. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I see a gap.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He's listening.
Yeah, I know. I see a gap. Don't worry, I know the right people. I know.
Look out for.
I'm just too busy right now. I got my own problems. I got my own problems right now.
At what point does TEZHLY come into play? And when you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, TEZHLY. Oh my gosh, TEZHLY is my baby now. TEZHLY has been a morph of content creation. Content creation in the sense of I started instructing people how to get into tech very early, 2020, before the hype of tech talk and all that stuff. I was like the OG of it, right? And I kept seeing these gaps. That's what I look for in life. I look for the gaps, where I'm gonna fill the gaps. I saw the gap there that I would tell people how to do things and then they'll come back to me and say, okay, I did that, now what? Then I did that, now what, right? And the amount of people that would come to me kept bothering me because it would be like, I can't fix everybody. I can't supply everybody, but I want to. I have a fuel to do it because you could change your life just by doing these certain things. And you just need somebody to just tell you how to do it. So TEZHLY was birthed from that idea and it just molded. First it started as like, small consulting, just one-on-one talking, right? I was just talking with people. Maybe I could take a few people. Then next thing, it goes into, all right, I have to find a way how to automate this because I can't do this by myself.
Right.
I had a following of 200,000 by then.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many emails, DMs, all that stuff I was just getting? And it's not even about the money at that point. It's just like, there's a fix there. I gotta fix this. So then TEZHLY started to slowly become into like, I gotta make a company out of this because this is a gap.
Yeah.
And I have to fill this. And TEZHLY has morphed from there, from a growing team to like just so many things has happened. And, we function a lot as a academy for the longest time, bringing people in, bringing them into project management, and teaching them and giving them internships, partnering them with internships or giving them hands-on kind of experience. And again, that's one of those manual efforts that I just couldn't keep up with. I have too much going on in my personal life. I have another tech firm, which is the athletic side to run. Wow. I can't do that. So again, now it's like, how do I make this into a technology company? I don't want to touch this anymore. So I stopped all operations of like boot camp, all that stuff. I can't do this. And now I started to build a product. So I know technology, but I don't know technology where I could run circles around myself and speak technology in terms like I'm a front-facing person that knows a lot, but I don't know in depth. So I was like, I got to get a CTO.
Wow.
And that's when I hired Cam. And Cam is the nerd of nerds, but he will talk circles around me, and I love that. If I don't understand what the hell you're saying, but I understand a little bit that you're not screwing me over, you're good. You're good. So I hired Cam. He came down to Houston, where he's in Colorado, very hippie guy, I love him. He came down, he's like, shook hands, we signed that contract, and he was like, wait, let's do this, let's build TEZHLY. So TEZHLY has been building in the background for a year now, I would say a year. And we're finally at the end of our AI product, where TEZHLY now is me in an AI form.
Yeah, so how will it work? It's in beta right now, correct?
It's in beta.
Okay.
It's in beta, right. And now it's close to production, where I can now open it up to the people. So many different versions. So basically, the way TEZHLY is going to work is the same way people will come to me and chat and talk to me, and they will say, hey, I need this, right? Now, the AI product that we programmed will have compassion, will understand, will not just give you typical robotic answers, but it will give you answers about how I think, right? Because in all reality, although I've been in corporate a long time, I understand there's a politics game, right? So I necessarily wouldn't tell people, go tell all your problems to HR. HR is not your friend. They're there for the business. And even running a business, I know that, right? But I tell people that, but it's also a conscious decision of ethicals, right? Be morally, have emotional intelligence, right? That's stuff that you can't teach people. Like, that's something that's innate because of experiences. So that's TEZHLY. It's everybody. You could talk to TEZHLY at all times. And TEZHLY, inside TEZHLY, if you want to if you're a nurse, if you're a teacher right now, let's say you're a teacher and you want to get into tech, but you have no idea. You come on TEZHLY, you talk to TEZHLY and you say, hey, TEZHLY, this is my resume. Let me upload my resume. This is my resume. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm at. This is where I live. TEZHLY's going to calculate all that information and then spit back a plan for you. And then not only is she going to spit out a plan for you, she's going to give you the tools to succeed on that plan. So the courses, we have partner companies that academies that will fulfill, because I don't want to touch hands with the academy stuff anymore. I don't want to do that. It's too much of a responsibility, a role, boot camps, running that. I don't want to do that. So we just partner with academies and that can do it, and give them a portion of the cut, right? We take as a nice split, and then from there, we resume services, mock interview training, the typical, and then we match you with companies. So from beginning to end, we see the full transformation of your career journey. But also we understand what you're going through. We're not just, And
it's for people that are not in tech, but also people that are in tech.
In tech. So if you have,
get advice. Right?
Yeah, if you have workplace issues, right? Like you don't know, because sometimes you can't talk to your coworkers. A lot of people don't know that. Right. A lot of people think you can talk to HR. You can't talk to HR about your full problems. Are they really going to help you, right? Politically, I'm supposed to say that, yes. Talk to HR, go to HR. But TEZHLY will not tell you that. TEZHLY will tell you, be wise, talking to HR. And that's what we wanted, was not just we'll transform your career, because you could say, I haven't been promoted. Hey, TEZHLY, I haven't been promoted in so long. TEZHLY's going to say, okay, let's see where you're at. Why? Let's go it up. What's your situation? We'll analyze that situation. And then if you want to have the live aspect to it, we have that. If you want to talk to somebody, you can talk to somebody. It's like a personalized coach thing. So just know, I'm the first one on that idea, because a lot of people copy my ideas. Just know that. Yeah. Just know that I'm the first one on that idea. Everybody always follow what I do. So, yeah.
So what are some typical, you said some of them, like they're not getting promoted, they're having issues with a coworker. Like what type of typical issues are you going to solve for them, basically? The
biggest one that we see is the transformations of the careers, taking you from a non-tech role into a tech role. That's the biggest. I would say that's a big bulk of it, right? A lot of people now are coming, now that TEZHLY offers that, we're going to see it more. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not something that we measured before.
Yeah.
It's something that I would just give advice on my TikTok. So I would see it here and there, or I'll just offer it just out of conscious. Like, I think some people are going through this probably, and I should give this advice. But now that TEZHLY is offering that side to things, this will be a new world for us to see the data behind, workplace issues.
Yeah. What do you advise people, given the current job market, what the future looks like? Okay, some garbage man walks in here and says, I want to get into tech. Theresa, what are you telling him? What's technologies?
AI is an asset and a tool to you, right? The first thing I would tell somebody is understand what part of tech you need to be in, right? Because not everybody is made for everything. Some people have communication, like they're very proficient in articulation and speaking to people. Some people are just really good at being creative. Like there's different aspects in personality. Everybody's map is not the same. Their GPS, their life is not the same. You shouldn't treat it the same. But just because you see somebody else doing something and they're making a lot of money from it, doesn't mean you'll have success in that. Because that's not your natural abilities or your skills. You have to find what's for you. And TEZHLY does that. By the way,
personality questions?
Yeah. We analyze their personality. We analyze everything, background, everything. We analyze it and we spit out the best possible options, right? So like I said, TEZHLY encompasses the whole transformation journey. Your whole transformation. We're not going to leave you in the blue. And that's why I've said that issue was everybody kept coming back, like, what do I do next? What do I do next? I wrote down all those things. And I said, I got to fix this. This is not a thing. So anyways, a garbage man come in. I'm going to say, okay, let's analyze what you are, who you are, and all this stuff, because you can be very profitable at skills and abilities you have, because the better you are at that skills, the higher you go, because you're very confident in them. You can excel at them. Like when you're, a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome and all this stuff. Yeah, that's what holds you back.
Sure.
Even the thought of having imposter syndrome, that's what's going to hold you back, right? So if you're not confident in what you're doing, you're going to be stagnant. You're going to do what you're doing. Like I see people sit in roles for 10 years, 20 years, and they're like, I want to move, but we have to find what's fit for you. And and let's embrace your skills, your hobbies, your passions, and let's figure it out, right? And it won't be perfect, because ideally some people don't want to work; they just do it to pay bills.
Right.
So we're gonna figure it all out. Next, we're gonna we're going to upskill you. We're going to figure out how we can get you to that level as quick as we can, right? You're obviously you're going to learn a lot more on a job, but we're going to get you to a spot where you can at least understand terminology, speak the language. After that, the next thing I would say is we need to get you hands-on experience, right? You need to touch some things. You need to be able to speak to this. Because when you go on interviews, people are going to ask you about, if you come across this, and not necessarily does it always compute that if I learn this, this is how I would do it. Because people always change scenarios when you get into certain scenarios and how you deal with things, right? Timing, issues, those are complex things that only experience can bring you those answers and bring it in a competitive way. And and the idea here is to be competitive, because there's a lot of people like you who want to transform, but how do you be competitive in that market? And then once you get your hands-on experience with what you've learned, we want to get you a little bit more that would like top it off, right? So what's trending in the market? AI, right? It just lights a lot of companies' eyes up if you know a little bit about AI. They don't even understand AI. They don't even understand what's going on. They don't even know the capacity of AI, what it can do, what it's limited, where is it going. They don't know. But just the inch of understanding AI and be able to add that to every layer of question or every layer is gonna make you more competitive, right? Because you're already at a disadvantage. Let's be honest. If you're a garbage man walking in here, you're in a disadvantage against somebody who's went to school for this. How do you compete? You have to ask yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. I have to be way better than that person, and you have to equip yourself with those skills. You have to talk the talk, and you have to have the level of confidence. It's all of that. And after that, you could go in and people. This is where kind of it splits off in paths. Some people they need to develop their communication skills, right? Some people already have that naturally. I've met so many people that they could just talk their way through. They could skip 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and they could just talk their way into things. And that's a skill on its own, right? Some people, they need to develop that. So then you got to start figuring out that journey of like who's who and stuff like that. So it gets more personalized after that.
Yeah, and I think, so for me, in recruiting, I deal with a lot of mid to senior level, like consulting, contractor type jobs. So a lot of people ask me with no experience trying to get a job, like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't really deal with that much, but you'd probably be a better person to ask that. So someone no experience, they want to get that first, maybe they've done a boot camp, maybe they have some education, we'll say, even just college, we'll say, what's the best way to get your foot in the door?
It depends on you. I would say that, like I said, it's definitely personality wise. When we say that, at least the starting point is evaluating that. Because again, some people have strengths in talking the talk. Have you ever just met somebody who would just talk the talk and you're convinced because they're convinced? Right? So if you meet those type of people, which they're there. I've met those people. I've met so many vast amount of people, so I know they're there. So there's a less bridge of focusing more on skill set and more or less focus on where are you putting yourself in the right rooms, right? Let's focus on where you at, where's your location, and let's emphasize on what you want to do, and then we'll train you up on some technology and something like stuff like that. Is that your route is a little different. Your plan is probably not like the person who's very introverted, not confident, doesn't talk, right? And this typical, I have no experience, what do I do, right? Again, it's one of those things where it's good to, a lot of people say, how do I get a job when I don't have a job, right? How do I get experience when I don't have a job? This is where putting your pride aside and saying, I got to do the volunteer work. I got to do the freelance work. I got to offer services just for the benefit of, I got to beef my resume up. I got to look attractive, because you have to suck your pride in. Just like how I took that low paying Cowboys job. Like I was struggling. I mean, my lights was cut off. I was straightening my hair in the Cowboys bathroom early in the morning, just doing my makeup in the dark, right? You have to put your pride aside for the bigger mission. So if you have to take a no pay internship, if you have to take a role that doesn't pay, do it. What else? What you think it's going to be handed to you?
Right.
That's not how life works. You're at the bottom of where you're trying to go. You have to work your way up. But you can't just get there saying, oh, I see this person making 6 figures. This is me. I just have to figure out if I go to a boot camp, I'm just going to get there. No. There's way too many skilled people. And then you got to add the layer into the people that could talk the talk. Those people you really got to compete with, because that's the problem. That person there could talk their way into the room that you're not even welcomed in, right? So that's an addition. So it's levels. It's levels. But again, that's a self-evaluation of each person. Each person is different.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would definitely analyze that person and say, I need to know a little bit more about you, like for real. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then what about people, maybe not junior people, maybe people that have experience, they're out unemployed right now.
Yeah.
What are some of your tips? Resume, interview, applications. What do you see right now?
The typical thing that I can say is, fix your resume. That's the issue. That's the problem. But you can fix your resume 5 or 6 times, but you still land on 0, right? Because again, the market is so popularized right now that everybody is in. And people who don't even have background in tech, but they're so attractive because other things, maybe because they came from companies or they have different vast experiences that these companies are looking for, just to add a little versatility and diversity to their teams. You're competing with a lot more of that now, right? So I'm not going to give the typical answer of, fix your resume and all this stuff. No, the realist talk is you need to do things that people aren't doing. You need to learn, you need to watch the news and learn, and I mean like Business Section, Business Insider, and watch what are these top tech companies, what are they talking about? What are the trends that they're talking about? What is the type of technology they're talking about? And you need to divulge in that information and you need to learn it. You need to be ahead of that. You may be behind in all these areas, but if you could speak to this, then at least it puts you at an advantage because everybody's talking about this, but nobody's talking about this. And technology is an evolving place, right? So when you sit in a room and you're sitting with people who are technology savvy, the way to shock them is lowering their ego by putting something out that they didn't think that they knew, right? I would say this. There was this one interview that I held when I managed a team, and this guy sat in the room and we went through 20, 30 people that day, and you're exhausted at that time. It's just repetitive. Once you've seen one, you've seen the other, right? Sure. So this person comes in just calm as collected as ever, right? And he's just talking can I curse? Yeah. He's just talking his shit, right? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't even know if it's true or not, but the level of confidence this guy had and the advancement of what he's talking about, you want to know more. Because it's either I want to call you out on your bullshit or I want to pick your brain, right? But either or, I'm going to call you back because you're so damn interesting. That is the person that stands out, not the person that's the typical rehearsed. Oh, I worked hard all my life, and I just want to transition my career. I've learned this, and I learned. Oh, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Who gives a fuck? Everybody has a story. Who gives a fuck? You're just one of, you know what I'm saying? That, at that point, I've interviewed hundreds of people, by the way. I'm telling you, but at some point, I'm just like, cool. The people that stand out to me, especially when you have no history, you got to be different.
Yeah.
You got to be different. You got to do something different. And that's just the reality. You can't complain about the project that company's asking you to do. You got to do that shit.
Right.
And you got to do it well. Right? You could complain about it when you get the job and say, okay, can you reimburse me for this shit?
Right.
Can you reimburse me now? But do the shit.
Yeah.
Do it and don't complain about it, right? You have no skin in the game. Stop complaining. That's the thing, is the attitude and the entitlement of people who say it's easy for this person. It's easy for this person because their skill set probably allows it. Right. Or it's probably who they know. There's a lot more factors to the background of why that person probably got that job. But you are your own person. If you're struggling, you're not doing it right, and you have to do it the other way. Put your pride aside and suck it up. Everybody who went far in life had to suck it up at some point. That's it.
Yeah, and so a couple things before we go. So you mentioned Business Insider. Keep tabs on that. I mean, are there any other tools or kind of, news services to keep your eye on for emerging technologies?
I'm subscribed to a lot of tech, news, just personally. One of the questions I had on an interview was, how do you stay up to date with latest trends, right? And typically people will say Google. Google's a search engine. What the fuck is? What else? Right. What else? Yeah. No, it's so good to be up to date on Yahoo News, even just business, right? Trends. Where's the market going? I would say Crunchbase. What are the tech companies that are getting started, right? Some of the startups that are starting, the technologies that are developing, just having your ear in just knowing, right? Because to have an advantage, you have to be ahead of where everybody else is applying, right? So if you know there's like companies that are coming up on the rise and they just got funded, right? Crunchbase is a great website to know, oh, this company's going through like a seed round right now or Series A, right? They're about to get funded or they just got funded. Maybe I could learn about what they have going on and reach out to them before they open up hiring, right? It's like thinking not here, but thinking forward, right? Because if you shoot more shots here, you're guaranteed to hit something.
Yeah.
Than if you're amongst everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which obviously is a dual purpose because you get the information and someone like you could ask that question on an interview if you're going to be caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't know. I listen to podcasts. Which one? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You know, after you interview for a while, you know people who bullshit. You know it.
Yeah.
You know it. Like, okay, how well can you bullshit though? How well? Because you're gonna bullshit. You're gonna do it. That's cool. I love it. I love it because I love my favorite type of interview is somebody who could talk the talk. Who's a bullshit. I love it because you know what? You like that person because you will get, especially in startups, you will get us far.
Yeah.
Because if you know how to bullshit, you can bullshit around. Keep doing the shit. Keep doing it. Do it well. Do it well. But let me see if you make sense with how you bullshit, right? Because there's a level of bullshit in everything. Can you make sense? Do I understand you? Like, are you talking talk or are you just talking trash? Like, you know, like so. Like, there's knowledge is key. Understanding and learning and being up to date and reading is so important. So important. It's a great skill to learn, not just showing up.
Yeah.
Show up and be the smartest person. Add value to the rooms you're in.
Right.
And that's how you're wanted.
Yeah, because again, that question may come up.
Yeah.
And they're gonna know if you have no good answer on that.
Yeah. And another thing is stop answering the questions like when people ask you, what are your weaknesses? You say, oh, nothing, or I work too hard, or I stay too late. Shut the fuck up, okay? What the hell? Like, okay, give me something. Like, tell me, you know, I struggle with balancing, you know, doing this X and X project while trying to grow and accelerate. Like, let me know something that can stick with me. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm getting all the same answers of, yeah, either, you know, I can't think of any weaknesses right now, or, you know, I stay too late or I work too hard. You think I'm gonna hire you?
Right.
You're like, that's not.
I'm too good.
I'm too good. Yeah, I've been told I'm too good.
Makes people mad.
Right. Okay. You're not getting a call.
So what would, so you went into a couple of kind of answers that you want them to be honest, like if they're weak in something.
Right.
Okay.
Because, you know, and it doesn't even have to be honest, like, because, you know, when you're in an interview, sometimes you say things and it just come out and you're like, wait, you know, because you could go the left way, you could lie, but then it's like, dang, this lie is kind of good, let me keep up with it. Or you could be honest and be too honest. But it's the level of, does it stand out and does it make sense? Is it different, right? And a lot of people are they're looking at these TikToks and all this stuff of the same type of answers, right? This is what you should say. Now, 400,000 people watch this video.
Yeah.
How many people are going to take that away and do those answers? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's like 1 + 1 definitely equals 2 here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how many of these people, and I'm telling you, when you're on the other end of interviewing people, it's common. You're not a surprise. Like, you may think you're the best of the best of where you're at right now because this is the best you've ever interviewed. Right. But you're one of one. I mean, you're one of many. Yeah. You're one of many, and there's a lot of people that are like you. They've already been at this level. Yeah. Who's the next?
So you can tell when a bunch of people have looked at the same TikTok.
Yeah.
100%. Guess you saw that one too.
You could tell the resume that they submit all looks the same. Like, dude, like you could at least change the Google template just a little bit, you know, like just a little bit.
ChatGPT,
you know, ChatGPT. And you could also tell ChatGPT answers too. Like, you think I don't know? Right. Especially in technology, you know. And any boss or anybody who's hiring a manager who's ignorant to that is like, they either you're just going to be a button pusher and they just need to fill the cap, or they're gonna be like, dude, this bullshit.
What's the word that ChatGPT delve? Like, what human? What human ever says delve?
Right, and then
I never heard delve in my life till now. Everyone's using delve.
Right, and then hypothetically, we call you into the interview. Do you sound nothing like the dang cover letter or resume? Like, okay, so wait, what's going on? There's a little different communication,
Yeah,
like, you know.
what happened here?
Yeah, you a little stumbling on words. I thought there was sophisticated talking going on. Which is, you know what's crazy is I'd rather the real talker than the person who's like snooty and stuck up and just like, yeah, I delve into a lot of things in this world, and I'm like, but who are you?
Right.
Who are you? Because me as a boss, I don't like a button pusher. I like somebody who has a mind, because you can grow that. That type of person will expand your business to a third degree because they're willing to do something different.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of bosses, there's two different types of CEOs, or even like people who are at the levels of hiring. They either want the button pusher who follows the rules and they won't cause no problems, right? And you have to evaluate that with who you interview. Who are you interviewing, knowing what they want? And then there's the people, the bosses that really want the growth thinkers, the people who are like different. You got to figure out which one is interviewed, because you can't push the button of the person you can't be too stubborn. You can't be too crazy. You have to tote their ego a little, right? There's a game. You have to, I see that you went to school at East New Mexico, right? That's amazing. I've always wanted to go there. Yeah. That person makes the company their world. So toting their ego helps them. This person will kiss my ass. This is a person I could have as an ally at work, right? I could have them do the work and I can take credit for. That's real life. That's politics right there.
Right.
You have to know which boss you're
What's a good way to determine if you're talking to an ass kisser, like I should be kissing ass, or I should be showing some like, out of the box thinking type?
To give a simplistic answer, I'm gonna give it really tactical. You can look at somebody's LinkedIn, right? And you can see if this manager makes a lot of posts, comments, and all that, they're a forward thinker, right? Because, they could also be political. So let me not say that. You can see in their context of things. If they're reposting articles, not more or less about themselves, but more or less about what other people are doing. If they're congratulating other people, if they're reposting new technology, or it doesn't even have to be technology, but new things. If they're more or less giving praise to outside things, you could tell you have a forward thinker manager or boss, or somebody who exceeds the level of self. When somebody's congratulating themselves on LinkedIn, I achieved this, or I've got this, those people, right? I've done this. Then somebody who's stuck in their ego, who's stuck in their ego, and that's the one that you more or less have to fill their ego. You have to look at it and say, this person will benefit from me saying nice things.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Time to pucker up.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Kiss that booty.
It's being wise like that. Just thinking about those things.
Yeah. And then, so let's leave it with something. Do you have any bad interview stories? You've interviewed tons of people. Anything crazy? Anyone crapped their pants or something in the middle of an interview? Like, what happened?
Yes, I have the best interview story. Oh my God, of heaven. Oh, there's two. I'm gonna make it short. So this was when I was working at the Astros, and we had just became we were a World Series team, but we were getting there.
Yeah.
So we were getting a mass amount of resumes, more than we had ever. So we were seeing so many different people. So we had this open role for a help desk person, right? We had a help desk person, help desk analyst, something like that. So this person's resume that was crafted to perfection. I mean, it said, I work for the president of this and this company. I've done X, Y, and Z. And this is early on in my career, so I haven't seen a lot of resumes as much as I did now. So to see something like that, and didn't have a lot of exposure, I would say this person would definitely get a yes to the next level. So I called this person, to schedule the interview, and I called them and they answer, by the way, sophisticated, very strong word articulation, just clean. The call, the first thing I heard off the other line was, "Who this?" I said, is this so-and-so from the thing? They was like, yeah, who this? I was like, okay, so this is the Houston Astros, and we're calling you for, interview for oh, okay, yes, yeah, I applied for this, and I knew I wasn't going to bring this person in because I just already know you paid for your resume services or something like that. But I wanted him to explain, because nobody who has that level of professionalism on there would even, if you have your resume on the market, you would never answer the phone like that. So I was just freaking confused. So I said, can you explain to me this role? Like, I was asking little questions about this role. And this person was, who had like, it was like, it wasn't executive assistant president. It was like some nice title, some crazy title. But he was like, oh yeah, I was a driver for the CEO once or something like that. Like, but it was embellished into like, I've done this. Man. I was like, whoa, like, you know what? This is a bullshitter. Like, this guy was, but he's one of those people you bring in the room, it doesn't match up.
Yeah.
You could tell that's a problem, because especially with help desk, that's the front-facing person. That person's gonna answer the phone. If you answer who this on the thing, then we got a problem.
Some executive is
right. And you could answer the phone for players, the CEOs, other gyms. No, I can't do that. But so that's one that was very shocking. That was early on in my career. And the second one was, we hired this boy, and he was I'm not gonna say what company. I had to hire this guy, and I would say very openly that sometimes it's a most times it's a who you know network, and that's how you get in. And a lot of times they take a lot of kids from these prestige schools, Yale, Harvard, as deals between the owners and just politics, right? Oh, take my son on, he needs a summer job. Something like that,
so,
right?
Okay, we'll send him the help desk.
Right, we said, we just need an internship. So you can't say no. There's no no here. You got to take the kid.
Right.
Oh, geez, we brought this kid in. Let me tell you something. On the first day after collecting, his equipment and all this stuff, he goes in the elevator, right? And the elevators. This is the offices, right? There's desks right here, and there's offices on the side. So you can see the elevator directly from where you're at. Everybody can see it. This guy collects his equipment to start his thing, and he goes to people like,
what?
I don't know if I could do that, but he goes like this, right? And you can't fire this person. You can't let go of this person. But he's just a snoot. This guy is a millionaire. Yeah. This guy is already a million. He don't need this. He don't need you. But you knew from that day, oh God, this is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Because you can't say nothing to this type of kid. This kid is a
terror the whole time.
Oh my God. He would call the phone and say, hey, I need a wireless mouse. I was like, okay, we'll get you a wireless mouse. He's like, well, I had one. I cut the cord, but it doesn't work.
Wow.
I still don't know to this day if that was a joke or if he was serious, and that's the problem.
Wow.
But yeah, we have those people. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, why don't you give one last pitch on TEZHLY? Why people, when it's coming out when? Officially pretty soon, right?
Yeah, okay. Late October.
Late October. Okay, so very soon.
Very soon, so look out for it. So yes, so one thing I would say about life is everybody has a story. And a lot of people are lost in life. They don't know what they want to do, so they kind of stumble upon other people's journeys and adopt it as their own. One thing I would definitely say is you will find far more success knowing more about yourself than taking on somebody else's life and personality. So with TEZHLY, afford yourself the opportunity to learn yourself first. And then it may set you back, but it'll propel you a lot further. Because you have to know yourself before you embellish and you grow. Because a lot of people either they're like, it doesn't work for me. This is not working. I'm not making as fast money. I'm not going, but you're not doing it right. And TEZHLY is aligned to help you do it right. This TEZHLY has been molding for years. Technically, how long have I been doing content creation? Just learning. That's data I collected over years. I have data of thousands of people. So there's patterns to people's behaviors. And the best thing you can see in patterns is you can learn how to alter them, right? And TEZHLY does that naturally, right? We've studied that for years. It's not something that I pulled together. That's why I didn't just put out anything, right? That's why I didn't just throw out anything. I want to. A lot of people are eager. They want to know what TEZHLY is. I want to see it, right? And as much as I want to put it out there and say, oh, yes, please, like, TEZHLY, this is it. I can't put out something I don't believe in myself and I wouldn't use, right? And this is something I hope that people don't come to me directly about. You just go to TEZHLY, right? You're like, TEZHLY is my answer. I'm here. TEZHLY is a version of me. It's just now I can service everybody, right? And that's why I believe TEZHLY is the wholehearted future of, like, the future of work and understanding you and yourself and, like, your person, you as a person.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we will look out for that end of October. And if you're not already, most people are probably already following Theresa, but if you're not, see her journey in building 2 tech companies, see her day in the life. It's awesome. And get great tips as far as interviews, resumes, all the good stuff right from someone that hires. So you can't beat that. So cool. Thanks so much for making this happen and
thank you.
Working around the hurricane.
It's great weather here, by the way.
Now it's great.
Weather. Wow.
Now it's cooled off. So cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much again.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you guys next time.